My name is James Anderson from Expecting More, and today we are going to actually look at some of the free resources that we have available on our website, expectingmore.info. On our website, we offer free personal debt worksheets. Now, if you contact us through the website, you'll find a link there at www.expectingmore.info where you can request these worksheets. Getting out of debt is very important today. A lot of people struggle with debt. I'm sure you've had a headache or two from your finances, dealing with it, and trying to figure out the best way to get a little bit more financial freedom in your life. Well, some of the quick facts on debt include that it's actually the #1 cause of divorce, not infidelity. Most people don't realize that. Mismanagement of finances, exceptional debt, money matters can actually lead to broken families and broken marriages. So that's part of why it's very important to address these issues and not just ignore them. Now, everybody struggles with debt. It's all a matter of making sure you have more coming in than what's going out. And in today's consumer-driven society, that's extremely difficult, and it doesn't take very long to pile up a mountain of debt. You have different bills, you have things that you see, there's holidays, there's birthdays, and before you know it, your debt has gotten to a point where it's out of control. Well, the only way you're ever going to manage it is if you take a look at it. Now, taking a look at it does not include just opening the drawer with all the envelopes and the bills that are thrown in there. Taking a look at it actually means charting it and being able to get a comprehensive plan how to overcome all these bills. Oftentimes when we're just trying to get by and we just want to make sure as long as we get the payment made, that's all we're worried about, and sometimes even that escapes us. What happens oftentimes is we hit our debt ceiling. The credit cards get maxed out, and I've been there before where I've had to call the credit card company to see if I could afford a battery for my car, or maybe 2 tires. Or maybe even be able to afford taking my family out to dinner for something that we were invited to. You don't want to be there. You want to have space in your credit. You want to have availability of resources. The graphs and charts I'm going to show you, or rather the worksheets I'm going to show you, I developed several years ago. And I used them in my own personal finances, and since then I've passed them on to many others. Now, what you see in front of you is the opening slide. Now, what we're going to look at today, this is a 3-piece worksheet. You'll find the tabs. You'll see them there at the bottom of this Excel worksheet. Now, if you don't know Excel, we're going to simplify it. It's not going to be real difficult. Don't think you have to have a commanding knowledge of it to be able to work on this particular sheet. The first one we're going to look at is the debt balance. You have to know what you owe. If you don't know what you owe, you aren't going to know how to take a best strategy to be able to overcome that debt. Now, what you'll find here is I've got listed out in this sheet that you can secure from our website, expectingmore.info, a list of your accounts. And I have place settings there for Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover, different loans. You can always go and change that. You can type in whatever you would like. Now, I recommend, so you know how to prioritize paying off debts with discretionary income or discretionary funds, which we'll get to later, you know what your highest interest is. Now, sometimes what comes into play is where the balances are. If the balances are lower, if the balances are higher, we may work that into the equation. But first and foremost, I say go for the highest interest. What you're going to find is that's where you're paying the most to the bank for using their money. So be sure to enter the interest rate that you're paying in that particular column. Now, when you move over here, you're going to see, and I'm just starting January through February. You can use it for whatever months you want to. And there again, you can change these dates up in the top of the sheet simply by clicking on it and typing in the month and year that you're in right now. What I suggest is go ahead and get those bills out right now. And I'm going to say, if you're a married couple, do it together. It's time to face the music. Yes, it's not going to be easy. This is not going to be fun. It may not leave you feeling fluffy. If you may not get excited when you see the results, but at least you'll have the satisfaction that you have taken the first step in solving a problem that's giving you a headache, possibly for months, even years, that you do have the possibility to overcome. Okay, begin entering the numbers in these particular slots in the first column. And then what you're going to see as you type in the individual items, you're going to see it auto. I've got it set up where it auto adds these together. So at the bottom, you see a bottom line of where your particular debt is. This is the accumulative total. Now what we're going to see on this chart is sometimes if you use a card or you have to engage it for something, what you're going to find is some totals will go up, but some will go down. The main thing is that you want to make sure that the bottom line is going down, that you're getting a constructive reduction in your debt. As you get these totals in, as you can see here in this slide, it's going to give you a complete picture of what your unsecured debt is. Now I do want to mention here, I do avoid to begin with putting auto loans unless they're unsecured auto loans or mortgages in this list. We'll get to those later. But for right now, let's just tackle the unsecured credit card, revolving balance, medical bill debt that you may have. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to see this total and you're going to move on, and in the next month you're going to take these totals again from all of your credit cards as they come in. And this does take management, but debt management is very important, and it is the key to getting out of the position that you may presently be in. Now what you're going to want to do is enter these numbers again. Now you'll see I've highlighted in red on this particular page. This is actually maybe you had to spend something on these cards. These cards went up. You want to avoid that as much as possible. You always want to pay more than you're spending so the balances are in decline. But as you'll notice, the overall balance went down, but a couple of the balances went up. We go over into the third month, and now what we're going to find is you actually had some extra money come in. So you've applied that money, and now you're beginning to see some progress. Maybe it was your income tax return or some other windfall that you might have had. Maybe you got a bonus, but you were able to apply it. Now, after 3 months, look at your spouse and say, look, we're making progress. Look at, or if you're single, it's important to keep track of your finances too. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm glad I'm doing this, because now I can actually see light at the end of the tunnel. It's not going to be done overnight. It's going to be a process. It took me a few years, but eventually my wife and I did find freedom from all of that unsecured debt. It is doable, and I want to encourage you in that. What you want to do is continue to track your debt so that you can have a conscious idea of where you stand on this road to escape all of this burden that may be upon you or your family. Now, you continue to go through this process, you'll be able to track your debt. What I suggest is applying any discretionary money that you can to the highest interest. Now, if you have a small bill with high interest and a larger bill, go for the smaller one first, because little victories can help. But always keep in mind, if the interest is comparable, you may do that as well. If one's 16 and one's 17. But if you have interest that may be 17% and interest that's 9%, you definitely need to go after the 17. Now here's another suggestion that I'm going to give to you. When you have the ability to eliminate and get a 0 in this column, celebrate. Take a little extra money that you have appropriated for paying off debt. Make sure it's cash and not credit, and celebrate. It's important every time you knock one of these numbers off this chart, you go out. Maybe you have dinner. Maybe you go do something that you've been wanting to do. By all means, don't get elaborate. You don't need to add all that debt back in again, and I do discourage using your credit card to do so. Try and make it something that you have available cash to accomplish. But by all means, celebrate every success, and eventually you will be out of debt. The next video, and I encourage you to check it out, is going to be on composing the budget sheet, where you're going to find out where you can find some of that discretionary income to begin adding to the payments on the particular items in this list. Have a great day, and thanks for watching the video, and please visit our website at expectingmore.info.